In a world where NBA teams trade for injured players, pay them millions of dollars, and then they don't even play that season. There's a podcast called Blue Collar Sports Talk. And today, after saving the world from the zombie llamas, they'll discuss Husker news. Take a peek at the current College World Series. The NBA Draft. That probably even includes some NBA trades. Way too early NFL AFC South predictions. They're going to be wrong. They'll even have some final thoughts. And before the end of the world, we better get to it. Here's our show. Hey, everybody. Daryl here. Blue Collar Sports Talk. James with me.
Hello. Morning.
As I am, I don't know if anybody else is, I'm still counting down the days till Husker football starts, and that's not that far away. So mentioning the Huskers, we'll start off with some Husker news. I apologize. I'm going to say your name wrong, Axelina Johansson. If I didn't, great. If I did, I do deeply apologize. She is from Sweden, I believe. And she has been named Big Ten Field Athlete of the Year.
Oh, my. High five.
Yeah.
Big air dap coming right there.
A sophomore. Won the NCAA shot put national title, throwing 63 feet, 3 inches and a fourth.
Jeez.
Yeah.
She's strong. She's strong.
Right. Earlier in the season, she won the Big Ten title with her personal best and a meet record, 64 feet, 1 inch and a quarter. So just a sophomore. As long as she doesn't transfer, I said it out loud. Hopefully we don't jinx it, but I wish you the best luck in the future and continued success. Again, awesome.
Yeah.
Other Husker news. So I'll start off with a transfer. This one's from Purdue, a softball player from Omaha. And I had to mention this because I love her last name, Bacon. Bella Bacon. She was a sophomore when she left Purdue, and she's coming back home. So I want her to play amazing along with our other one.
Yeah. Bring the experience, bring the drive. Let our girls know what it takes to get there.
Right. So before we started recording, James and I were discussing the other one, Jordy Ball. And she's going to transfer from Oklahoma. We had both mentioned, hey, that's great. We love that you have other experience. We love that you have other coaching knowledge under your ball cap. Bring that work ethic, and bring your pitching.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I'm still astonished at her low ERA. A 1 ERA, a 44-2 record with 397 strikeouts in 288 innings.
Yeah, and that's, one thing about softball we all know is you can pitch multiple games. Your shoulder is not as worn as like a overhand style. But to still be able to get in there, be locked in, and throw 2 and 3 games in a row where you're just mowing these girls down. And they've some of these girls, like I've seen this girl, she's pitched to me like 7 at-bats, and I still don't know what she's doing. That's pitching at its finest right there. When you can keep a batter off balance for let alone, right now it's that third time through the lineup, those girls, okay, I kind of got her speed down, and they get hits. No, I mean, you're talking 5th, 6th, 7th at bat, and you're still not getting on base.
To add to that, Jordy did not allow a run in 50 of her 71 career appearances as a Sooner, including 15 shutouts. She posted 11 games with double-digit strikeouts and allowed only 30 extra base hits in 993 at-bats. Right. So I'm excited for our softball team.
And if just 2 of the pitchers, obviously you hope all, but a couple of them get under her wing and she kind of teaches them, different grip on the ball or a different stance or, how to paint a corner. And they all feed off of that. And next year we can come in with not just her and the other girl that we had this year that pretty much carried us all the way through. Man, if you can get 2 or 3 pitchers in there, oh my goodness. I like the signs are pointing in the right direction. Let's say that.
Yeah, they are. She won Most Outstanding Player in the 2023 Women's College World Series. Went 7-0 throughout the tournament with a .18 ERA. Not a 1, a .18 ERA.
Yep.
Crazy. Again, can't wait for that.
Excited.
Also can't wait for the Husker football team and can't wait for the Husker volleyball day at Memorial Stadium. So
it's getting closer. And with football, there's a lot of recruits. A couple people approached me at work talking about this recruit and that recruit. I think it's great. But today's landscape in football, actually all the sports, but football in particular, since what we're talking about, I'm not too excited when these kids commit and say, yes, I'm going. Until December, if they sign early in December or until they sign on the paper in February, they can move. They can break up with their girlfriend. They can meet a girlfriend. Anything can change their mind. But the verbal commit to me, especially in the last 3 or 4 years, doesn't mean a whole lot. I do like it. I mean, we're looking at a top 10, if not a top 5 class in the Big Ten. I love how Rule and company is still just hitting the bricks, getting these kids, talking to them, getting them here. A lot more hometown talent. They got a big receiver coming out of Omaha coming. Again, as long as they stay and sign on the dotted line, I'll get excited in December. But as far as Nebraska football, I like the quarterbacks we have. I think the running backs are going to be way different. The offensive scheme, I say, the play calling. Yeah, I love it. I'm getting excited.
So having said that, if you're a coach, is there a way to combat that? I mean, do you have a couple boosters in your back pocket going, hey, I need some extra nil money. What do you have available?
Yeah. But again, if it's a relationship, I don't want to go there. She's there. Or I want to go to this school. My girl's there. How do you combat that? But yeah, I'm
money. Yeah. That's just it. That's a guess.
Yep, it is. And that's why I'm like, and these kids are young. I mean, we're talking recruits that are the 2025 class. I'm like, man, and on the flip side, and again, I'm not trying to be negative.
No, you're being realistic. You're being realistic.
If they come out next season and only win 3 or 4 games and it's the same old story, those recruits are like, oh, maybe he can't turn it around. And they'll go somewhere else. But if we come out the gate and we win, the Minnesota-Colorado is a great test to start a season, but they win 6 or 7 games and they go to the bowl, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, he's for real. We can do this. I want to be part of that change. Winning really helps a long way with recruiting.
I don't know how Scott Frost got some of those talented kids to come here when we were so mediocre.
Right.
I don't want to say bad because we are in a tough league, the Big Ten.
And there were 1-score losses. It wasn't like we were getting beat, by the fourth quarter. Everybody's already left the stands.
Yeah.
And that was we're still one play, make a stop, or final drive. Here, we got the ball last. We can, we're there. Besides Ohio State and besides one Michigan game, we're right there every game.
So what if, this is my what if to start. What if Scott Frost would have dedicated more time to finding a defensive guru? Now, I understand he loved offense and he's like, okay, we're going to beat him by 1 more point. Okay, you focus on that point, but I want you to go out there and have found an amazing defensive guru Don't meddle in his affairs. Just make sure that he gets his defensive players ready. Obviously, it didn't happen, but what if?
Well, and what if he actually recruited better? I mean, we've got the stories of him not returning recruits' calls, skipping visits, stuff like that. But yeah, I totally agree. If he would have focused, and him and the defensive coordinator he had started with the C.
It doesn't even matter. They're
Yeah.
gone. That was my what if. I mean,
Well, I mean,
No, I
they had
understand what
such
you're
ties
saying.
together that he
Yeah.
wasn't going to move on from him. But
yeah,
You're right.
he brought him from Florida.
if I do believe Scott Frost could have been a good coach if he could have got out of his own way.
And nobody's picked him up yet.
It says a lot.
Granted, it was I shouldn't say a short time. He got let go game 4 of last
Right.
season or something.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm really surprised he hasn't picked, unless he's turned down coordinator jobs. It's very likely he has turned down coordinator jobs, wanting a head coaching job. But I think his best bet is like, dude, you're going to have to go back coordinator.
Who even knows?
Yeah.
You know,
He might not have had no phone calls.
the only news that I saw was he was selling his house in this area, and then he
Right.
bought a house in Arizona.
The only thing I can tell you is he's not hired right now.
Right. Right. Yeah, exactly. Okay. We're gonna bounce from football over to the College World Series. And so tonight we're getting a rematch.
Yep.
That LSU team is amazing. And they're getting a rematch. They're playing Wake Forest again tonight, correct?
They are.
So crazy good teams, both of them.
50 plus wins. They were ranked either number one, between the two of them were ranked number one during the season, 13 plus weeks. That was it. It was either Wake Forest or LSU number one pretty much all year. And LSU had a little slide at the end, fell to number 5. I do believe it's worthy watching Florida play. I've seen a couple of their games. Dude, the power in that lineup is unreal. Home runs in the Ameritrade Park aren't very easy, and Florida's making it seem easy.
And comeback wins. Not every
Oh, my
game,
goodness.
but it seems like every other game.
More than half.
Yeah, more than half are
Yeah.
all comeback wins.
Yes.
So, again, if you have the chance to go to Omaha to see some of the best collegiate baseball, and this is the best with what games are left, amazing.
Yeah, and Cinderella stories are nice, and I was kind of hoping Oral Roberts making a little bit of a run. They've had, again, one of those comebacks. They were down 5-2 in the 9th, came back, won at 6-5 against Stanford. But these top teams, Florida, like I said, one of the best teams, Wake Forest, LSU, whoever wins this game, I'm pulling for Wake Forest as not an SEC fan, pulling for Wake Forest tonight. You're going to have a great championship. It's either going to be Florida, LSU, who, in college baseball, LSU is always there. Wake Forest has knocked on the door a few times, and I like that if they can battle Florida, I think you're going to get a great 3-game set. It's going to be awesome.
So tonight, if you didn't know, LSU, Wake Forest, 6 p.m. If you can't make it, you have the ESPNs, and I said that plural for a reason. ESPN Plus is carrying it, as well as ESPN2. LSU is favored currently, so we'll see what happens. Overs and unders are 8.5, so they already know that they're going to get the bats going.
Right.
So this is going to be an exciting finish to the College World Series.
And if you're wondering why it's not on regular ESPN, it's because of the NBA draft is on tonight.
Great segue. So the NBA, the NBA finals are over, and you have to continue with your business that is a sport. So NBA draft and trades, we're just going to combine this into one little category today, and it's already crazy.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
In my mind, it's crazy. So last night, I'm falling in and out of a comatose sleep, and I feel my phone vibrate, and it's like, oh, hey, our Celtics team, James and I Celtics team, are thinking about trades. And they're going to send, at that time last night, it was Malcolm Brogdon on, and we're going to get Kristaps Porzingis. It was going to be a messy 3-team trade. Lo and behold, I wake up at 4 a.m, and all of a sudden, nope, Malcolm Brogdon's staying. Marcus Smart, bye-bye.
And yeah, you want to talk about a left field. I would have never saw that coming. I mean, you could have gave me, hey, guess who they're going to send instead of Brogdon? I'd be like, Hauser, Pritchard, Grant Williams. Marcus Smart would have been one of the last 3 people with Brown and Tatum that I would have thought about.
To the Memphis Grizzlies.
And so
that just made them 10 times better with one person.
This 3-team trade, very rarely does all 3 teams make out. I think all 3 teams win in this trade.
They do.
100%.
And that is like okay, I'm going to completely agree. I apologize for interrupting.
No, go ahead.
You're right. A rare win for all 3 teams.
Yes.
Memphis Grizzlies get a commanding player in the locker room that can only help Ja Rule if he decides to pull his head out of his butt. Tyus Jones gets to go on to a new team and help them instantly.
Yes.
And we get Kristaps Porzingis, we being the Celtics, who, if he continues to do what he did last year, should do it amazingly.
We'll start with Grizzlies. I had said at the end of the season or even in the playoffs, Memphis was missing a point guard. Ja Rule is a shooting guard. They needed a leader.
Not Ja
on the
Rule.
floor.
In between concerts, he dabbles in basketball.
Right. He kind of goes on.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah. Oh, who I was listening to on the way over here. John Morant is not a point guard. But Marcus Smart, a team leader where they messed up down the stretch in their playoff, was executing at the end. So, yeah, Mark Smart, huge finish for them. Wizards, not only do they get Tyus Jones, they get Gallinari. Hopefully he'll be healthy for them. They just made that big trade getting rid of Beal to the Suns and getting some young filler talent, you could say. Now they get 3 proven veterans. I forget the other guy that's coming from Memphis is going over there. But they get proven veteranship to help out the mediocre role players. And then Boston, Porzingis can fill the Al Horford, Grant Williams role. He can fill in the middle. He hits 3-point shots. And if you pair him up with Robert Williams, oh my goodness. That middle is going to be, you can throw, who's the two biggest teams against the Celtics? Embiid with the 76ers and Giannis.
Yeah.
You now have a 7-foot body to put in there. You're not going to stop those guys, obviously. But now they have to worry about stopping Porzingis.
But it's inside out. If Porzingis is on the floor at the same time, if Horford stays, if he's on the same floor as Horford, or if he's on the same floor as Williams III, holy.
Right.
So Williams is going to command the paint like he always does, blocks, whatever. Porzingis can follow a dribbler all the way up to where he's going or guard the 3-point line.
Yeah.
Great win.
And 2 first-round picks next year.
And like I said, we're going to combine this with the draft because had this not worked out the way it did, this new finessed, finalized deal, and it's not completely finalized yet, but whatever. Boston didn't have any picks in the first round.
No.
This gave them, I believe, the 25th pick.
Right.
Which can be huge.
Yes.
Muscala is...
Oh, that's the other guy.
Is going to Washington.
Yes. Yeah, he'll be teamed up with Gallinari and Tyus Jones. I love Tyus Jones. I mean, obviously he was out of Duke, but I think he's a great point guard. He's one of the unsung heroes of... I don't think he really got the love in Memphis, mainly because Morant was there, and I guess he didn't get the open. But I think Tyus Jones can really do well once the team lets him take control of their team.
If you heard some weirdness in our voice for a split second, my overhead light decided to pop and bust itself as we're recording, and we're just both like,
what was that?
Hello?
Hello?
Is somebody telling us something? Shut up. Okay, anyway.
To the Suns.
Oh, what? Okay, so the Suns decided to bring in
Bradley Beal,
an amazing player.
Yes.
And the saga hasn't finished with what's going to happen to Chris Paul yet. Because the most recent article I read is that he probably isn't going to make it. I don't remember what they're going to do. Waive him, buy out the contract. But 90% chance his contract is bought out and he ends up with the Clippers. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
I'm a little confused also. I agree that I think Clippers would be better for him than the Lakers, but because I had said before is even if he goes to the Lakers, it's not going to make them NBA championship. The same thing that kind of hurts this trade for me. I don't think every team wins in this one. Yes, the Suns get an amazing player in Bradley Beal, but once again, what hurt them in the playoffs was their depth, and they just lost a lot of depth. So they're going to have to count on these guys when they make the playoffs, which I don't think there'll be no doubt Phoenix will be in the playoffs. These guys are 40-plus minutes because, you got to hope one don't get in foul trouble or, hurt, obviously.
Okay, now explain this one to me. Different team. You'd mentioned Giannis, his current teammate, Chris Middleton.
Middleton, yep.
Declined his $40 million player option. So he's going to become a unrestricted free agent.
Right.
So in doing that, he did this to what? Make more money?
No, he wants a longer deal because if he does his player option, he has one more year on his deal. And obviously he's been hurt he missed numerous games last 2 seasons. So if he doesn't have a long-term deal and he only plays one, then he's like, well, if I don't have a great season, I might not get any money. But why not bank on yourself? It could go 2 ways. You go, you know what? I'll play my option. I'll bank on myself. I'll stay healthy. I'll do great. And I'll sign a big contract.
Yeah.
I think he just wants it now instead of playing under a 1-year deal.
In my mind, that is a better bargaining chip for the business side of the Bucks for that reason. So he has a contract, and if they're going to restructure it, which I think this is a guess. I think this is the Bucks going, we can't pay you that. Yeah, at one time you were great. James, you just said it. He's been hurt.
Yeah.
When he does play, he's amazing. But, I mean, do you pay a guy for being hurt? Do you extend his contract a lot? I mean, yeah, 2-3 years at max. But again, it could go a couple of different ways.
Yeah, and we like Middleton. When we talked about him during the season and picking Milwaukee, obviously me, you, and even Roger were talking about the guys they had on that lineup. Middleton's name kept popping up as one of the tough ones on there. I don't know. Do they? He says it's possible to re-sign with them, but if they don't, I wouldn't see a problem with them moving on from Middleton, letting him go somewhere else. You imagine if a Chris Paul or Tyus Jones would have went to Milwaukee? I mean, that would be huge for them.
Yeah, and I guess the main reason I asked this question is we have a whole new coach, whole new system coming aboard. Correct me if I'm wrong, it's Nick Nurse that went there, right?
Yes.
So did Nick Nurse see something? He's like, no, we need to move on from it. Is it his experience in having dealt with Kawhi Leonard that was always hurt?
Yeah. I mean,
and again, I'm guessing. Right. I don't know.
They don't have a pick in the first round. So they're going to have to go through free agency, this and that. New coach, they're sitting with the GM. They're going over game plans and looking at this and that. And yeah, I'm sure maybe a conversation happened. Or is this 100% a Middleton decision where he's like, yeah, they want me to go ahead and, get my player option, get me on the books. No, I want a long-term deal and they don't want to give it. So, like the Cowboys did with Dak, why don't you go ahead and play it? Show me.
Yeah.
But obviously we'll never know, but Giannis needs a guard up top that can take the pressure off him down below.
I brought it up for another reason. The Denver Nuggets guard, Bruce Brown, he's declining his $6.8 million player option. He's becoming an unrestricted free agent. And I tie that in with the Bucks because the Bucks are saying potentially Chris Middleton, bargaining chip. Hey, Bruce Brown, we could immediately use you.
Fact.
So again, this is a guess. We don't know. A long time between now and the start of the season when everybody finalizes their roster. So
and
just fun to speculate.
Yeah, speaking of the Nuggets, they get two picks Thursday. They get the 29th and the 32nd overall pick. They made a trade with the Indiana Pacers. They were another team that had no picks in the first round. And then they make a trade and get a pick. A couple of them, obviously, that would help. And I think when you win a championship, you get some of those guys like the Bruce Brown that's like, you know what, I'm going to take advantage of my fame right now. He did really well in there as a role player. I don't know if he's a starter, though. But, some teams are about to find out.
I think that was a good roll of the dice on his part. Hey,
Yeah.
you know what? I had an amazing stuff. You go look at the tape on the championship run that we had. Pay me.
Fact.
Is he going to make more than that $8 million?
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I do too. And I think that was a good. I think that was a good bet.
3-4 year deal. Yeah, I could see him making 10, 12. And I don't know the guy enough to know, is he a starter? Because, Denver didn't get a lot of love, didn't get a lot of TV time. He was a bench player for them. Obviously, you have Porter in there, you have Murray in there. So, his minutes were limited to begin with. But he's got some good legs underneath him, and see what he can do.
I think it's a good bargaining chip for him to stay there as well.
Oh, yeah.
So either way, whatever happens with him, I wish him the best.
Ball out at Chicago.
Yeah.
What if Bruce Brown slides into Chicago?
Again, there's so many different options available to the kid.
I like it.
So there's a lot that could happen. Yeah. And also with the draft tonight.
Yep.
So I would be completely amazed if that French kid doesn't go first.
Yeah. And, I liked it back. What was it? Cleveland? It was several years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. I don't know. My years are all combined, whatever. They had the number 1 pick. They weren't already, not only did they already say who they were going to take, they were already negotiating contract with them before the draft.
The Spurs were.
No, this was football.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Right. So my thing is this, right? So going into this year's draft, the Carolina Panthers knew they were taking their guy, and then they waited. They let the clock run down. Everybody's like, we know who you're taking. Why are you not just taking Bryce? Let's go. Same thing with the Spurs. The Spurs haven't come out and said they're taking him. All the speculation is this and that. And I'm like, what do you wait? You're not trading the pick. Or are you telling me you're honestly fielding offers to trade that pick?
All right. I'm laughing because I think Popovich is having a little bit of fun at everybody else's expense. It's one of those deals where, you know what's more fun? I'm going to make you guys sweat.
Yeah.
I'm going to make you guys sweat. But this Victor,
Yeah.
Okay. So on the count of 3, you want to go first or I'll go first? How do we say his last name? 1, 2, 3.
Wembayama.
Wembayama. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I got nothing.
Here's what I do know. He's 7'5".
Second tallest to be drafted.
He has already been playing professionally and playing great.
Right. Yeah. And that's the other thing is there's quite a drop between him at number 1 and anyone else, as if you only get best available, in the next 5 to be ahead of him. Right. I mean, right now I'm just going off of what they're simulating. You got Brendan Miller out of Alabama. Then you got some G League players, Scoot Henderson, Amen Thompson, Oscar Thompson, and Cam Whitmore out of Villanova, who I like a lot. There's so far of a gap between him and all of them guys that it doesn't make sense that he's not number 1. So, yeah, if you're betting, I don't even know what the odds are of them not picking him. It's got to be astronomically low. But, yeah, Victor definitely would be the number 1.
And he's not even the only 7-footer in this draft. You've got a guy out of Duke, 7'1", Derek Lively the second. Who is an amazing defensive player.
Yes, and could score. He was very intermittent. And what I find is funny is he had a great season. He needs another year of growth. And he, like you said, 7-footer, played at Duke, and he's not even in the top 10 as far as best available. So it should say something to him, but he didn't. He's rolled the dice. He's going to go to the draft, try to make some money, but he's going to have to be like Tatum. Tatum took 3 years. Lively's going to take a couple years to get his NBA legs under him and realize what kind of a grind he's in for. So, but so tonight, your top 10s, obviously we have the Spurs are going in. You got the Hornets, Portland, Houston Rockets at number 4, and then Detroit Pistons at number 5, who kind of got robbed in the draft lottery, by the way. Then you skip down towards the end. Golden State has a 19th pick in there to help redone. The Nets get 21 and 22. Portland pops back in at the 23rd pick. Grizzlies at 25. Indiana, a couple of top 25 picks. And Roger, your Hawks sitting at 15. What route do they go? We know they're good in the small up front, in the backcourt, I'm sorry. So they got to go big. maybe they get a Derek Lively at number 15.
The other big news that also coincides with the draft is Zion Williamson.
Oh, man, I'm so glad you brought that up.
So the only thing that I've read is if he is going to be traded, it would only be for a top 3 pick. And the reason they're saying this, now James is wincing and squirming in his seat. Now, here's my outlook on that. They're not willing to trade him for an existing, proven talent. They're trading him for a gamble on a potential good talent.
Why?
And in my mind, that's a huge difference.
Yes.
Huge difference.
I'm trying to think of because I'd want another young player in response. But why would you not go with someone that one plays 65 to 75 games, who is putting out 18 to 25 points a game, and, got the NBA, that's got 3-4 years under his belt, ready to explode. Instead of gambling on,
Here's why I think they did it. They don't want to trade him. And nobody is willing to get rid of a top 3 pick this year.
Not for him.
Right. So that was the caveat. Oh, well, okay, if you're willing to give up a trade for that top pick, sure, we'll do it. But if not, no, we're not even going to discuss it.
Yeah. I figured they would be willing to trade him. I think, we've talked about it a few times. I kind of think they're ready to move on from him. He is a generational talent. I get it. He's a beast when he's playing.
But you're also paying him to be hurt.
Yes, exactly.
Like the announcer guy said in our opening.
Right.
So many teams have decided to trade or pay guys that are hurt.
And they do good the next year after they get traded, and then they're right back to the injury prone. So they might miss one good out of Zion if he gets traded. But as long as you got to move on for the headache and you're not paying this guy X amount of millions to play 40 games.
Right.
The Pelicans are going to be their own little headache there. So,
and once the draft happens, a lot more teams will come into play with a lot more trades.
Mm-hmm.
So Chris Paul will probably eventually figure something out. James Harden either will or won't resign with the 76ers.
So on that note, I do believe Harden will stay. I think they're talking now with things not moving, anything coming, like I said, with the draft. You have a long offseason. I think Harden stays. I think him and Embiid have a heart-to-heart. I think they try to find him somewhere of a role for him because you got to put Maxey. Sorry,
No, it's so good.
Maxey and Embiid are the two on that team right now. Harden has to accept he's number 3. And only because, well, you're out of shape. If you want to get back to the old Harden and say, I want to win, then you need to do it this offseason and can commit to the team.
I hear what you're saying. I think it's a little more complicated than that. When Embiid was out and then Harden decided to become old James Harden and he was scoring 40 points and they still won, I feel that there's a dynamic that is missing when both Embiid and Harden are on the floor. It's one of those questions that I asked at the middle of the NBA season. If your team traded for Luka Doncic, would you be happy?
No.
And just about everybody in the room said no.
Right.
So I think everybody on the Philadelphia 76ers probably wants Harden to come back if he will play at that level. And he, for whatever reason, puts it in neutral half the time to let Embiid get the scoring and whatever. I think neither one of them need to change their game and just go out and play.
Right. Yeah, you say all that. No, in my head, I'm thinking, Embiid's not the type of player that says, I need the ball in my hand. He doesn't run and take it out of anyone's hands. He lets the game come to him for the most part. I love Embiid's game. Harden doesn't really need to change his, and for whatever reason, he waits till Embiid's out. And to me, that 40-point game he had against Boston in that playoffs, he struggled the next couple games because he's like, dude, I'm out of shape. I can't do this through 3. Like LeBron.
Yeah.
He went off for 2020. The next couple of games, you knew he was going to be fatigued. So again, get in shape. Yeah, and 100%. Don't change your game.
No.
Go out there and play it. Feed off of each other. You have a big three. If you want to talk, I'm not saying that they all went there for a reason, but between Maxey, Harden, and Embiid, you have your shooter, your inside guy, and your guard. Make it work. But I could see them adding another piece here and there, but I do believe Harden stays and does not go to Houston, which I had thought earlier at the very end of the season. But now I do believe Harden stays.
Any more thoughts on the NBA, potential drafts, potential trades?
The Lakers, it's really quiet over there. I know there's rumors between Kyrie and Chris Paul going. A lot like Harden, I know that Cuban has already offered Kyrie his max deal. I think he stays there. Him and Luke are going to have to figure it out during the offseason, work together, work out the plays. Lakers come up short. Chris Paul, I think, maybe goes to the Clippers instead of the Lakers, mostly because I think he sees, what am I going to do when I have LeBron handling the rock? And, it doesn't matter. I don't know. I don't think that's a winning formula, like I said when it initially came out. I think not that he's ever going to win, but the Clippers would be a better fit for him than the Lakers. So right now, I think the Lakers are, again, salary cap strapped. They're going to be hurting. They spent too much money on very few players. Kuzma's, I heard, is back out. He optioned his deal out, so he's going to be a free agent. Maybe he goes back. And then we know, what's his name? They drafted him, and then they sent him, and they just got Russell. And D'Angelo Russell's going to be out also. So they do have some holes to fill, but they don't have a lot to work with to get more people in. So I don't know where they're at in the draft, but
they only have one in the first round, the Lakers. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, they definitely need help over there. And Celtics, again, we'll have to wait and see. I'm excited for the offseason when you know your team is already adding a piece that keeps them right there in the top three in the East. So that's huge.
That is. At first, I was wondering, why, until I saw his numbers. He kind of rejuvenated the rest of his season after he left Dallas. So kudos to you, bud.
And the best part about this, Daryl, he's not 30 yet.
No, he's 28.
Okay, I thought
28, 29, somewhere there.
But usually Boston gets these kind of guys at the end, let's scratch 2 years out of him. No, this guy can legitimately give Boston 5 more all-star caliber years with Brown and Tatum. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Season could start next month. I'll be excited.
And they still have more pieces that they could trade. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. Shifting gears to the NFL, we have AFC South predictions. Next week, we're going to do 2 AFC East and West, but we're going to start with the South. And last week, James asked if I wanted to do the bottom or the top, and then I didn't even answer him. I just went straight to the top. So, James, the light switching off again is your cue that you get to choose where you want to start.
Yeah, I'm going to go. To me, this division is, again, a big gap.
A mess.
Yeah, you have 2 teams that are going to walk away with it because the other 2 teams, I don't want to say they rebuild. No one likes that word with their team, but they do have some setbacks. They're going to have young quarterbacks coming in, young quarterbacks starting. They have decent running back stability, but just overall, it's a fresh start for them. So obviously, I'm talking about the Houston Texans, and then up to the Colts are going to sit at the bottom, maybe 7-8 wins, 6-7 wins, somewhere. It'll be below 500. And then you have the Tennessee Titans and the Jaguars, who came on strong at the end of the year to lead the division. Texans and the Colts will get swept by both those teams going in. So, yeah, I'll start at the bottom. To me, last place will be, oh, man, I'm not lying. I went back and forth. I can see them finishing with the same record, and whoever wins head-to-head, who do I give the head-to-head? Colts really don't have a quarterback. Well, they do. They have Minshew, who showed he can't really be a starter. And then they drafted
CJ Stroud.
CJ, who I liked way better than Bryce. But anyway, so going into the thing, and they have a proven running back in Jonathan Taylor. They got Pittman, who had almost 100 catches. I like the Colts a lot.
And a first-year coach.
Yeah. And then Texans, same thing, first-year coach. They have a...
Yeah. The Colts don't have a first-year coach. The Texans have a first-year coach.
Well, then the Colts, this is his second year because Frank Wright left. Yeah. So either way, it's a mess, right?
Okay. It is. Both of them are a mess.
Yeah. I give the nudge to the Colts. So I'll say Texans will finish last with probably the same record at 8-9, 7-10.
Oh, wow. You're giving them that many.
Yeah. Well,
because last year Houston won 3. Last year Indianapolis won 4.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So we'll say over under 5. Yeah.
So, I can't remember if it's ESPN or Sports Illustrated writers picked the Colts to win 3 this year. The same,
okay.
Roughly what they did last year, give or take a little bit. I have them at both winning 5. I have Indianapolis winning 5, Houston winning 5. I mean, the Houston Texans traded with the Arizona Cardinals to make back-to-back picks at the number 2 and number 3 spot, and on both sides of the ball. So that gave them C.J. Stroud and then Alabama linebacker William Anderson Jr.
Yeah, huge. I mean, great picks. I applaud them making the best out of those picks. I think they're both really good picks.
Defensively, I think that makes the biggest impact. When you step up from playing quarterback in the college to the pros, that's a big step.
Oh, my.
That's a lot on your shoulders. And I've read a couple articles where they're saying C.J. Stroud is probably going to be the starter.
And that's unfortunate. And I've said, I know people that have talked to me, it's like a broken record from me. Stop playing these rookies right away. I'm sorry. Like you said, the jump from one to the next is unbelievable. It's not just a plug and play like basketball, kind of a plug and play. You know, if your body's mature enough, you can get out there and battle with those guys, and you can do great as a rookie. Very few guys come in this league, especially at the quarterback position, and excel. Nothing I saw from CJ or even Bryce or even Levens, Richardson, none of them flew out at me and says, hey, you know what? I can do it at the next level also right away.
You're 100% correct. The Colts do have a first-year coach.
Okay. I thought he was coming in. I think they had an interim last year, and then...
for some reason, Ed, I forgot that the whole Reich fiasco happened. Yeah. And then they didn't even keep their interim coach.
I do like that they have Richardson. I like him a lot. Minshew, if he can stay behind Minshew and the fan base. Again, the fan base is where it gets pushed to get those young guys in. I forget the guy that came in for the Texans that won those games for him at the end of the year, made a push, and almost beat Dallas. You know, let CJ learn. You know, let Richardson learn. And over, by the way, Tennessee drafted a new guy also, Will Levis. They have that second-year kid, Willis. And on top, they have Tannehill. You know, you still have Travis Henry. So their young quarterbacks can learn. I've read numerous things that the Willis kid, who did not do very well last year at all, by the way, as a rookie, has made huge strides. And Levis has thrown numerous picks already in practice. So, again,
if they throw Richardson in right away for the Colts, I think he has a better chance of staying alive just for his scrambling ability.
True.
But I could be wrong. And again, a lot of it has to deal with how much time you give them. So if they don't do anything with their offensive line, if they don't make any improvements there, both of them are just going to have a heck of a time.
I mean, look at Geno had a great year last year, but got thrown in the mix. And I don't know if it's a mental thing or they're like, oh, can I be here? And then they start second guessing themselves. Or is it like Peyton Manning? Granted, he went in, led the league in interceptions, and went on to be a Super Bowl winning quarterback. You don't know I don't know the mentality of these guys. Can they take a beating, throw 20 picks, throw 10 touchdowns, win 4 or 5 games, and next year be a 500 quarterback that the team is like, hey, this is our franchise guy?
If any of the quarterbacks currently now that are beginning to play if they are like a sponge, like Peyton was, if they go and watch as much tape as possible, if they try and work on their game as much as Peyton did, you'll have success. But if you sit back and wait for it to happen, you won't.
Yeah, but you can learn.
You definitely can learn. We'll see what happens with all of these.
Yeah, I'd love it if CJ and Richardson can hold the clipboard through 10, 12 games.
Yeah.
And then okay, the season's out of hand. Hey, we're going to go ahead and get your feet wet. Get in there, get with the NBA, the NFL speed, see how you go. Again, I think Tannehill, and so between Tennessee and Jacksonville, I want to pick Jacksonville. I know the golden boy over there in Jacksonville, quarterback, he finished.
Trevor Lawrence
saying NTN's supposed to be coming back. He had a good season last year. I want to pick them because they finished strong, but I've seen numerous times where a quarterback does good, comes in next year, doesn't even, I got this. I don't know. I'm going to pick Tennessee again. Vrabel has them playing well. Their defense is always super good with Derrick Henry. I'm going to take Tennessee to win that one over Jacksonville, but it's going to be close.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so between the ESPN writers and the Sports Illustrated writers, they have Tennessee to finish fifth. Or I'm sorry, with 5 wins.
Oh, Tennessee with 5 wins.
Yeah, and I went up one more than that. I went 6. Tennessee won 7 last year. They didn't even make the playoffs. And the reason I went 6 wins, 1 less than last year, everybody knows Derrick Henry's going to come at you. So everybody can prepare that. Everybody can prepare for this.
So they get to play, they're at Cleveland. To me, there's a win. Okay, this is Tennessee, by the way, so that's 1. You got Atlanta's 2. You play Carolina's 3. You got Seattle at home. That's 4 wins. You got Houston and Indianapolis twice each. So there's 8 wins. I got 8 wins, and that's without taking a 50-50 game from New Orleans or Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay. They have them at 5 wins. I'm going to the casino and betting them on the over. They start off with New Orleans. Okay, so their first 4 games, they start at the New Orleans. They can definitely win that game. I'll give you the Chargers as 50-50. They go to Cleveland. I'd say they can win that one. And then it's a 50-50 game with Cincinnati. Okay, we'll give Cincinnati that one. 2-2. Then you have the Colts. You're definitely winning that one. Then you have Baltimore. We'll count it as a loss. Bye week, and then you got Atlanta, Pittsburgh, Tampa Bay. You could come out of your bye week with 3 straight wins right there. I'm going to bet the over for Tennessee's 5 wins if that is the number, because
that's why it's so fun to debate this. We have no clue.
I love it.
And is Will Levis going to see any time?
No. Mark me down, put me in the over-under. Levis only sees it if both quarterbacks, if Tannehill and Willis gets hurt. Only way Levis gets in the game.
And how did Jacksonville get there? Well, they had the number 1 pick in 21. They had the number 1 pick in 22.
Yep.
But now the other 3 teams, the Titans, the Colts, and Houston are trying to close the gap. I have Jacksonville winning 11, and I have them winning this division easily. I see Tennessee struggling to get to 6. I see Indianapolis just struggling.
Oh, yeah.
And I see Houston definitely struggling.
Yeah. Again, I think the Colts and Houston go over in the division. That's 4 easy wins for Jacksonville and Tennessee. I say easy. They're division games, so they're going to be battles. They're not going to be 20-point blowouts, but they should be 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, 4 wins right there, just in the division. And then if you say Tennessee and Jacksonville split, that's 5 wins each right there, just in your division games. That doesn't count any outside. So, yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm definitely going to have to go make a little visit, because, by the way, sports betting opened here in Lincoln at the casino. Just saying.
Oh, wow. Tom Landry quote, today, you have 100% of your life left. So I want any of the people drafted or traded in any one of these sports to remember that you have 100% of your life left.
Oh, goodness. That's so funny.
You better get on it.
Ooh.
Final thoughts.
So Vegas winning the title this year, it was 2016. On this day in 2016 that the owners unanimously approved Vegas for an expansion bid. And then all the rumors started coming about the Vegas, the gambling capital of the world. I just say it, getting a pro sports team. So, yeah, and then they were going to start the 2018 team or season. And here they are, like we said before, 5 years later, winning it all. So, yeah, it was on this day in 2016 that they were just voted in to actually have a team. And now they're already hosting Lord Stanley's Cup. And then in lieu of the little draft, a big-time NBA center named as Akeem Olajuwon in 1994 beat the Knicks and won the championship 4-3 in the old Michael Jordan taking a little siesta time. And then Ken Griffey Jr. in 1994 breaks Babe Ruth's record for most home runs. By the end of June, he had 31. And that was the whole Roger Maris thing. If you wanted to get to 61, you had to have 30-plus home runs by the All-Star break. That was like your, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but you're like, okay, am I on pace type thing. And yeah, by the end of June in 1994, that being, during the live ball, or whatever you want to call it, steroid era, Griffey had 31 homers already.
You mentioned Michael Jordan and all of this. And anybody plays sports because they want to succeed. And it all depends on if you learn from mistakes, if you move forward for them. There's a quote from a show, have the memory of a goldfish to forget those mistakes and move forward. Michael Jordan never thought of it that way. And here's his quote. I've missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I've lost almost 300 games. 26 times I've been trusted to take the game-winning shot and missed. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. And that is why I succeed.
Fact.
Because he learned. So, if you make a mistake, man, if you don't learn from it, that is another mistake. If you learn from it, move forward, get better, win tomorrow.
And that's why I tell my boys when something happens, I'm like, if you mess up, don't make excuses of outside things or somebody else did this or that, or no. Own it, learn from it, and become better. As in life, if something's beating you, own it, and then beat it back. I missed 26 of those shots, but guess what? I owned it, and I went and shot in the gym more and more and more, and now I make more than I miss.
And I love seeing players that participate against somebody that might be better at a specific part of their game, that immediately after the game is over, congratulate them, and you can tell, hey, how did you get that? Hey, what do you do to do this? Or they train with them in the off season.
I'd never seen that. You never saw that in the 90s or probably even early 2000s. But now, George Kittle, he has a tight end camp or is it Kelsey? One of the two has a camp where they invite some of the best tight ends and they all work out together. In the 90s, you would have never saw Emmitt Smith go, hey, you young running backs, come over here. I'm going to show you how to run all these drills. Or Jerry Rice like, hey, come over here. Now, at the end of his career, Jerry Rice does do a thing where he takes young receivers and get them through the little gauntlet thing. But yeah, no one did that. But these days, yeah, you can go work out with someone proven veteran like a George Kittle and be like, oh my gosh, this guy's a beast. No wonder why he's, almost unstoppable in the middle of the field.
Very true, very true.
I love it, yeah.
One last Michael Jordan quote for you. Some people want it to happen. Some wish it would happen. Others make it happen.
So own it and beat it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Daryl, Blue Collar Sports Talk.
See ya.
That was James. Go watch some sports.